in the city itself. There's the Citadel Mount, there's the amphitheatre, and using Amman as a base, you can be down in the Dead Sea in less than an hour. You can be up at Jerash in 45 minutes. You can even go out to Azraq wetlands in about 90 minutes. So you can certainly use Amman as the centre of activity for the north, in the same way that you can use Aqaba as the hub of activity down in the south.
With wildlife, you mentioned bird life earlier on. Is there any other wildlife options I could go and see and observe?
There is scuba diving, of course, or snorkeling. So there's all of the sub-aqua activities. We've mentioned bird watching, and Jordan is absolutely vital in terms of the migratory path of birds, but also in Dana Nature Reserve, which is wonderful. You can stay at the top of the escarpment in Dana village, and there's wonderful flora and fauna there as well. But also you can go out to the eastern desert, and you can see where they're reintroducing oryx into the environment as well, after they were hunted to extinction in this particular area. About a generation ago, they're starting to reintroduce them now, and so that's just by the Azraq wetlands as well at Shamwari Nature Reserve.
Hello, it's Roy. Yeah, we're on the ferry. We should be in Spain tomorrow afternoon.
Well, be careful. Lots of crooks on the roads out here.
Crooks? You know where I grew up.
This is different. They target British registered vehicles.
Yeah, they used to do that round my way.
I'm serious. They'll tell you there's something wrong with your car, so you pull over, then they rob you. Or they distract you at a motorway stop. They target hire cars, too.
Hire cars?
Yeah, well, they're driven by tourists.
Oh, OK, I'll watch out.
Good. So, looking forward to the drive down?
Yeah, well, I was.
Thieves in Spain have been targeting hire cars and UK-registered vehicles, so be extra careful on the roads. For details, visit gov.uk and search for Living in Spain.
Checking it out before you check in on the John Guinn Travel Show on ukhealthradio.com. If you're a regular listener to the show, you know that I always bring up food and drink when I'm talking about a destination with my guest. This week is no different. Yes, I'm talking about food and drink, and yes, as always, I say that a figure like mine takes just motivation and the proper work, and it takes a lot to keep it like it is. I'm so predictable, unfortunately, but at least you know where you are when it comes to travel with me. You know I'm always going to find out about food and drink for you. So let's find out what you can eat and what you can drink in Jordan. You've already said that Jordan isn't a dry country, so you can go clubbing, you can go drinking. But whenever I have guests on, I always ask about the food, because a figure like mine takes commitment and lots of work. So what's the national dish or dishes of Jordan?
Food is a massive part of Jordanian life, as hospitality is a huge part of not only Arabian culture, but particularly the Bedouin culture. And of course, it's the Bedouin tribes that have been the bedrock of Jordan since its creation after the First World War. There are still the traditions that if someone comes into your tent, you are obliged to offer them food and water, and you're not allowed to ask their name unless they offer it for 3 days. So that if there is a feud between any particular families, then what you don't know, you can't be forced to act upon, because that culture of hospitality overrides all. And food is just phenomenal. Jordan is very much an exporter of agricultural goods in the region, precisely because of the fertile irrigated lands of the Jordan River Valley. The national dish is lamb mansaf, which is cooked with yogurt and rice. It's eaten by the hands. You wrap it up into little balls and then use your thumb to flick it into your mouth. If you go to visit Jordan.com, there's a separate microsite on food in Jordan as well, and so there are various videos and various recipes there also. It's all of your typical Arabic, Persian foods, from hummus and tahina to flatbreads and to lamb kebabs. It's brilliant.
Which is your favourite dish then?
I do like the lamb mansaf. The first time I was in Jordan, I swear the guide was pulling my leg. It was me and my brother. We went on a day trip to Petra from Sharm el Sheik, and we were asking the chap about, culture and food, and because we were going to stop for food first before we went into Petra, and he was describing the national dish and lamb mansaf, and you get your rice and you pour your yogurt on, and then this, that, and the other. But it will probably just be an international buffet. So we were kind of resigned to just having normal food. And then we turned up, and it was exactly what he described. I'm sure he was spinning us a yarn so that we'd be pleasantly surprised. And it was great. So my brother and I were sat there copying, just out of the corner of our eye, we were copying what the Jordanians were doing and how you pour the yogurt on a little bit at a time so the rice has got a chance to soak it up, and then mash it together with the lamb, and then literally flick it into your mouth. I do like it, and it's very much a communal activity. So you'll fairly typically have one big dish of lamb mansaf that you'll all pile into, as opposed to an individual plate.
What about Ramadan? Does that impact on tourists at all?
It has a minor impact on tourists in the sense that you'll see that you need to be not wary, but you need to be aware that people are observing Ramadan, so they might be a little bit slower to respond if because people tend to go for an afternoon nap, so you might find that things close in the afternoon, and there might be less guides available. You can still have a great time in Jordan, and of course you get to break fast with the Jordanians at before sunrise and after sunset.
Yeah, I've seen the parties and stuff when I've been driving around London. That does seem the best way to eat. And
they don't mess about. I was invited by Mamdou, who's an Egyptian chap that was working for Red Sea Holidays at the time, and to a Eid al-Fitr meal, and literally the table, I think there were 20 of us there, was groaning with food, and no one could touch it because we were waiting for the text message to come from the imam at the mosque to say, yep, off you go. And then as soon as we got that, everyone was dived in. Oh, it was brilliant. Really enjoyed it. And, and very much a religious observers event to share with friends and family, just like Christmas dinner here in the UK or Thanksgiving back in the USA.
You're listening to The Travel Show with John Guinn on ukhealthradio.com. Coming to the end of my conversation with Stephen Hurp from the Brighter Group about Jordan. When you're looking into your own travel, it's easy to become blinkered and just look at your own requirements and forget about the needs of others. Luckily, being an ex-travel agent, I don't forget about that. So I'm going to ask questions about groups of people I have nothing to do with, such as families and people who are active. So let's find out about families first and see if Jordan is an ideal place to take a young family.
We actually did a press trip a couple of years ago, Jordan for Juniors, and it was the chief executive of Brighter Group, Debbie Flynn. She took her son, who I think was 8 at the time, and then we had 3 or 4 journalists, each with an offspring, anywhere between 6 and 12. And they had a fantastic time. There are even various tour operators who specifically do family-friendly holidays to the region. If you look at the soft adventure people such as Intrepid or Exodus or Explore, who as a 10-year-old is not going to have a great fun pretending to be Lawrence of Arabia in Wadi Rum, or Indiana Jones and the Last Crusade on the way down into Petra, or pretending to be a Roman gladiator up at Jerash, quite apart from jumping in the back of a 4x4 driven by a mad Bedouin bloke and herring across the sands of Wadi Rum. It's fantastic. You can have your camel ride, you can clamber over the rocks, you can pretend you're anyone from Omar Sharif to Lawrence of Arabia. Absolutely.
I fancy doing all that myself. I'm a little bit too old, but I'm sure I can put a wig on and I can pretend.
And funnily enough, the Jordanians have children as well.
Yeah. That kind of gives it away then. What about a honeymoon destination? Could you have a nice romantic trip to Jordan?
Absolutely. In fact, when Kate and William got married, apparently they were within a moment of having their honeymoon in Jordan, obviously hosted by the king at one of his royal palaces or whatnot. But there is certainly the option for a romantic, active honeymoon in Jordan. You've got the Dead Sea with wonderful spas and a very relaxing environment and great hotels there. You can be a little bit more isolated, a little bit more out of the way, but in the wonderful scenery of Dana Nature Reserve, or even at Wadi Fainan at the Eco Lodge down there, which is just phenomenal. Everyone that's gone there says it's their favourite place. And of course, you can have great romantic candlelit dinners in the middle of Wadi Rum, in the middle of a Bedouin camp with no one else around. There's just you two guys there with fabulous sunsets and fabulous sunrises if you're up that early.
Never up that early. There are some people, not me, but strange people who like to be really, really active when they go away and do all sorts of things. Is there anything like that in Jordan?
Absolutely. You've got rock climbing in the Wadi Rum region, as well as hot air balloons and microlight flights, scuba diving in the Red Sea. You can go canyoning in Wadi Mujib and some of these places down of the rivers that come into the Dead Sea is absolutely phenomenal. You do have to have a guide though to make sure that it's safe. But you start off 450 meters below sea level on the shores of the Dead Sea, and you clamber up through the wadis. So it's like coasteering here in the UK, but you're going up through these channels that have been carved into the rock over millennia. And of course, you've got your standard hikes and treks as well. There's a lovely day hike down. Note, it's down. It's not uphill. So you start off at Dana Nature Reserve, and then you walk downhill, and you end up in the Eco Lodge at Wadi Fainan. There's even a 3-day trek out the back of Dana Nature Reserve, and you arrive into the back of Petra of the city there. So it's a different way to arrive in the ancient city of Petra. So if you want to be active, there is absolutely a hell of a lot to get stuck into.
And my idea of being active is climbing into a car, but I'm sure there are plenty of people who like to do a little bit more than that. You've mentioned an awful lot, loads, because there's so much to do there. So can you just remind us of the websites again so we can find out more?
Absolutely. The official website of the Jordan Tourism Board is visitjordan.com. If you simply Google Visit Jordan, there is a landing page, and then they have pages in different languages. They have ones in French and German, and they have one for the UK. So it's English UK as well as English international site as well, which is aimed more at Australia, New Zealand, and whatnot. But there is a specific UK iteration, and of course on there it lists the various UK tour operators with whom you might wish to research your trip as well. There's over 100 tour operators that still actively sell and host trips to go to Jordan, and will continue to do so. The Jordanians themselves have just been investing in quite a large consumer campaign here in the UK. So there are branded buses and taxis. There have been posters on the London Underground and regional buses as well, from Bristol to Dublin to Glasgow. And there's even TV advertisements that are going out on various cable TV channels, including Sky News at the moment. Jordan will be exhibiting at the Adventure Travel Show in January and at the Destinations Travel Show in February. So if you're in London during either of those two periods, do come along and say hello. We'd love to see you.
What about my phone call? I want to call my family.
Too late now.
Please, please, please.
Step through now, please.
Oh, no.
Too late now.
Here's the goods. You take them in false bottom bag, you strap them to your body, it's up to you.
Look, I've changed my mind. I want out.
Too late now.
So, you're offering me a free holiday?
Yeah.
I just have to bring back something for a friend of yours.
That's right. You get some serious cash.
Right.